We have some breaking news to tell you about now. A rough commute tonight for LIRR riders because of a signal problem in one of the East River tunnels. Good afternoon, I'm Stone Grissom. We are following some breaking news on News 12 Long Island right now. A deadly scene in Manhattan. An out-of-control car, you can see it right there, plowed into pedestrians in Times Square. Now, this is a chopper video over the crossroads of the world right now. We have some breaking news on News 12 right now. White House Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders is holding a daily press briefing right now. She's at the podium. Let's listen in. All right, we've been waiting on a news conference by the state, local, and federal authorities on that narcotics takedown. It sounds like it's happening right now. Let's go to it. There you are at the podium. And Jerry, I know you were involved in H.W. Bush's. We talked about this earlier. His campaign in 1988, he got about 59% of the white vote and won like 400 electoral votes. Right. Mitt Romney, 2012, fast forward, 59% of the white vote, only gets 200 electoral votes. Our demographic, our country is changing. Why are we seeing the numbers tighten as they are right now?
Suffolk County has historically been...
Antoinette, I'm standing here in Hofstra University on what's called Media Row. To both sides of me are hundreds of media outlets, literally from around the globe, all in anticipation of what's going to happen over my shoulder in that building right there, the David S. Mack Sports and Exhibition Complex. At 9 o'clock sharp, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton will take the stage in what's being billed as potentially the most viewed debate in television history. This is one of the most anticipated showdowns in political history. Now, everyone kicking into high gear in preparation for tonight's debate. The tents are up, the stages are built, and the media, we're ready to roll. Eileen LaPalmer begins our team coverage with a behind-the-scenes look. She's live inside Hofstra at a place we lovingly call Spin Alley. Eileen?
Well, that's right. This is Spin Alley, a building right next to where the debate will. For all that, we are live in Spin Alley. Eileen LaPalmer, News 12 Long Island. Stone and Colleen.
All right, thank you, Eileen. Well, as we mentioned, the latest polls show the candidates in a virtual dead heat. Hillary Clinton leads Donald Trump by 1 point, 47% to 46%. That's a just-released Quinnipiac poll. Now, earlier today, we talked to some Long Islanders who said tonight's debate will be the deciding factor on who gets their vote.
It's really a tough question.
We're bringing in Larry Levy. He's the Executive Dean for the National Center of Suburban Studies right here at Hofstra University. First, I'm going to ask you about Hillary Clinton's emails and how each one dealt with that topic. But let me get your overall impressions about the debate itself.
Well, when we talked earlier, I said voters than he did.
Yeah, and I was reminded slightly, not quite to the level of the Rick Lazio, Hillary Clinton and the senatorial when he walks over to the podium. Many people saw that as a little too aggressive. Is that kind of how Trump might have come across?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the danger, Trump's.
Okay, let me get quickly. How did Hillary Clinton, that was anticipated that the email issue would come up. How did she handle that? It was a quicker answer. She didn't get caught up in the legalese. That's been the criticism before. How do you think she handled it tonight?
Right, well, I think Trump.
Okay. Another issue, and we've been dealing with this up in New York, is the issue of stop and frisk. That came up.
Right.
Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton took vastly different positions on the issue of stop and frisk and its constitutionality. Play a clip and ask you a question on the other side. The countdown is on to the president's address before a joint session of Congress. That will begin at 9 o'clock tonight. Well, tonight we're also joined by two key political players here in the island. John J. Laval is chairman of the Suffolk Republican Committee and a Trump surrogate. Jay Jacobs is the chairman of the Nassau Democratic Committee. Gentlemen, thank you very much for taking time and coming out.
Thanks
Tonight, big speech. First time joint session of Congress. We'll start with you. What do you expect to hear? What kind of tone?
Well, I think it's going to be a very positive tone. I mean, he will be speaking very directly to those people.
Okay, Jay, let me bring you in and get the Democratic perspective here. He previewed an outline for his budget. It's $54 billion of an increase in the military spending, and that's going to come at the cost of some non-defense agencies, including the EPA.
Right.
How is that going to impact Long Island? I mean, we have a lot of waterways, and the EPA is
the environment's critical to Long Island.
Governor Cuomo, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us this afternoon. We're at the first day of the track repairs at Penn Station. A couple of weeks ago, you coined the phrase, "This could be a summer of hell." Do you still stand by that? Again, it's uncomfortable to talk about, but you are under federal indictment right now. Has that affected your ability to govern in Nassau County? All right, the President has nominated his pick for the U.S. Supreme Court, 10th Circuit Judge Neil Gorsuch. The 10th Circuit is states like Kansas, New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, states like that. I think there's 6 of them, pretty much. But that's where he comes from. Harvard educated, went to Oxford. He clerked. This will be the first time.
This will be interesting, right?
He clerked for Justice Anthony Kennedy.
Right.
This will be the first time that 2 justices will work together when one clerked for the other. That's never happened before. All right, now if you look right now, you're seeing this is a live shot. This is Fort Myer in Virginia, where the president is expected to walk on stage and address the nation. You can see all the military people right there below waiting for the president to come out. They stood up just a few minutes ago waiting for some of the officials to take their seats. They're over here on the right-hand side. Again, Mr. Trump was running for office before he criticized the war, saying the U.S. should pull out. But now there have been published reports claiming the president will send thousands more soldiers into the region. Now, keep in mind, as a candidate, the president was a vocal critic of any surge in Afghanistan and a critic of the war since 2001. The original purpose of the 2001 invasion in Afghanistan was to weed out the Taliban and defeat them. And since then, we've become mired in, as we said earlier, mired in a ground war for basically 15 years. Now, in 2014, then President Obama declared that the combat operations were halted. And since then, the 8,400 American soldiers who are there are basically in an advisory capacity. Again, we don't know what the president is going to say. You can see the people now standing up and waiting for the president. We're hearing the music. This is the presidential music announcing that he will take the stage.
The President of the United States.
He's just been introduced. We're expecting him to walk out on stage right now. Generals have been very tight-lipped as to what he will say. He has been meeting with them in August at Camp David with his military advisors, many of them generals. Here's the president taking the podium. Let's listen in. Well, we are now learning college basketball legend Bobby Knight was the subject of an FBI investigation a few years back. Now, the Washington Post reports the fiery former basketball coach was accused of inappropriately touching 4 women. Those incidents allegedly happened while Knight was visiting a U.S. spy agency in Maryland back in 2015. Now, in the end, Coach Knight was never charged. And new concerns tonight about a new feature on the social media app, Snapchat. Now, some believe it could actually help predators track children. The feature is called Snap Map. It allows followers to see exactly where you are, which could then make children easy targets for bullies or dangerous adults.
Go into your child.
A Snapchat spokesperson says users must activate the feature to allow that tracking. For more information about the app's privacy and security settings, go to news12.com and click on Numbers and Links. Some pretty bizarre courtroom behavior from a mom accused of murdering 4 of her children and her husband. Isabel Martinez gave a thumbs up. You just saw it. She smiled. Now, look at this. She got out of her chair and kneeled today in a Georgia courtroom. Now, the woman, who is an illegal immigrant from Mexico, told the judge she also didn't want an attorney. Martinez is accused of fatally stabbing her daughters and their father yesterday. Now, one of her children actually survived that attack. Authorities have not said why she allegedly did that. And a would-be bank robber is dead following a hostage standoff in a suburb in Atlanta. Now, police say the suspect claimed to have a bomb and was holding 2 people inside. The robber died after police used a military-style vehicle to crash through a wall and free the hostages. Authorities have not said if the suspect was shot by officers or killed himself. Well, nearby homes had to be evacuated because of this raging inferno in Oakland. Those flames tore through a 7-story building that was under construction at the time. That smoke could be seen for miles. You can see some of it right there. Now, no word on a cause of that early morning fire, and no one was injured. However, authorities say a large crane was in danger of collapsing because of damage caused by those flames.